Owen Sack, with his back to you down here in the center, has done a tremendous job. There he is. He has been using Macedo as the scooter man for that Westerner team. And little Frankie has been doing just tremendous in the men's field. Now we'll see if he plays that same kind of a strategy, Walt, in holding on to that 6-point lead, because I think right now a lot of credit has got to go to Coach Sack. The way he's playing this game, he's got his speedsters out there, whether they score or not, he's got them out on the jam after jam after jam, trying to wear down this rough, tough Bomber team. So far, it's proven the right way to play, but whether it'll hold up or not, we've got to see.
Out of moving, Judy Swinsky trying to get around on the outside, but he's being cut off in there by Margaret Brady, 56. Joanne Coons, 52, getting out of there. Margaret Brady, 2 minutes in the penalty box for an illegal block, number 56. Back to the penalty box for Margaret Brady. 2 jammers out for the Westerners, 2 out for the Bombers, 1 for the Westerners in the light jerseys. Judy Sawinski pulling away. Annis Jensen right behind her, number 38. Sharon Alsop, 53, in there and jamming for the Westerners on this play. Bombers with 2 jammers out as they're trying to get back in this game. They trail 21 to 15. Sharon Alsop grabs the lead. She can call off the jam now. She went off the track. She has to go back to the rear of the jammers. You cannot gain position from going onto the infield. Sharon Alsop was flagged back to the rear of the jammers again. He grabbed the lead again and called it off. I believe she scored a point on that one. She did. Knocked out was Jan Ballo. That makes the score now 22 to 15. The Westerners increase their lead with a fine job there by Sharon Alsop of this Westerner squad. Sharon Alsop on the rail. She's 5'2", 130 pounds. She's had 3 years of roller derby experience. She's 20 years of age. They're the girls that jammed for the Bombers on that last play. Only the jammers are allowed to go to the rail for that brief rest period. The pack must keep moving at all times. That's why this sport demands tremendous conditioning. It's interesting to watch these skaters train during the day. They'll get out and they'll skate for hours. They'll form a long line like a train, take turns leading the pack. Going at top speed, they'll skate for an hour solid without stopping. Take a breather, then they're right back at it again. That's the kind of condition you have to be in to take part in a roller derby game. Jammers in the striped helmets trying to work their way up from the rear of the pack. There's a whip to Anna Jensen, who's going by on the outside. There's Anna Jensen jumping through there, and out of the pack she goes. Big red. This woman who's skating gracefully out there and with a lot of speed, married, has 3 fine youngsters. Her husband, Rosie Baker, is the infield coach for the Bomber squad. Greta Behrens, little iodine, poison they call her, is moving out. There's her block. Greta Behrens, 54, a real rough, tough customer on the bank track.
That's speed, Walt.
She's pouring it on. Anna Jensen coming along right behind her. And dumped on the track. There will be a point scored by Behrens. Judy Sawinski was dumped on the track. She was passed by the flying jammer Behrens. And another skater dumped on the far side of the track. So Behrens got 2 points. It's good blocking from her teammates. Dumping these skaters on the track makes it easy points for the jammer. Runs the score up to 24 to 15. The Westerners building up a big lead here over the Bombers with 8 minutes and 13 seconds to go in the third period in the last half. Tremendous blocking in that pack that time, Ken.
And that's right, Walt. And again, here's a comment on the girls' play in this Westerner team. Now, Sack hasn't had one of his top guns, Doss, in the lineup this period as yet. Doss is going into the lineup for the first time right now. And if he could keep one of his top stars like Doss and Behrens, who just did a sensational job in scoring against Jensen, if he can keep a couple fresh, especially of their caliber, he's going to do well out here, because he's certainly proven his strategy is working so far.
That's right, Ken, but let's give credit where credit is due. The Bomber squad, of course, skating without 2 of their top stars tonight. One under suspension, Ann Gavello, and the other out with injuries, Gloria Mifsud. As you roller derby fans know, they're both great stars in their own right. But still, the other girls are picking up the slack and doing a great job, despite the margin of points now for the Westerner squad, 24 to 15. 7 minutes and 16 seconds to go in the third period in the game. Roberta Mitchell there on the outside trying to get around. Annis Jensen give her a hand. But she's out of there. Roberta Mitchell, 33 on this jam for the Bombers. 2 jammers out for the Westerners. Joanne Coons, 52. Sharon Alsop, 53. Mitchell has the lead, though. Villarino there, urging her on to greater speed. Moving around that track of the jammers for the Westerners, and they seem to be pulling up on Roberta Mitchell. Somebody being flagged off the track at the rear of the pack. Loretta Behrens for illegal blocking. Little iodine to the penalty box for the Westerners. Blocking in the back, set up a point for Bert Mitchell, who calls it off. Well, Dolores Doss, 51, who just came into the game, was scored upon as Annis Jensen blocked her out of the play. She was passed by Mitchell, who scored the point. That makes the score now, with timeout being called down on the track. The Westerners 24, the Bombers 16.
All right, they're getting back and set to go once again. 6 minutes and 13 seconds left in the skating period. And as Walt said, with a couple of key girls out of the Bomber lineup, one girl you can always depend on, and that's Red Jensen. Boy, that gal is just sensational.
Big Red gives a lot of her credit to her skating ability to Mary Jupel. Pocahontas Jupel is one of the great stars in the WWE League. Several years ago, she went under Mary's wing and learned all the tricks of this great game. Out and jamming for the Westerners on this play. Margaret Brady, 56. Roberta Mitchell, 33. Out there and moving for the Bomber squad. Dolores Doss also out of there for the Westerners. All four jammers out and moving on this play. The Westerners skating one member short. You do not substitute for penalized skaters. Mitchell dumped Brady and grabbed the lead on this jam. Bombers trail by 8 big points. They're trying to get back in this game. Doss is coming up fast. Slows down his... No, that's Jan Ballo moving in there. 35 for the Bomber squad. There's the point. Annis Jensen doing the blocking again. And another point was scored by the Bomber squad. Roberta Mitchell chalking up that point before she called off the jam. Makes the score now 24-17. The Westerners out in front. If you wonder why Roberta Mitchell called off that jam, that was in order to protect her blocker, Annis Jensen. Annis Jensen, putting on that block that allowed the point to be scored, went out of position herself, and if the jam had not been called off by Mitchell, she would have been passed by Doss for a point. It's very important that the jammer have that lead, because only the leading jammer can call off the play. Of course, you do not have to have the lead in order to score. Fans here clapping and stomping their feet. Cow Palace in San Francisco trying to urge this Bomber squad on to greater efforts. They trail 24-17. 4 minutes and 24 seconds to go here in the third period in the last half.
Walt, Coach Shack down here has given the referee and the time gear and everything a lot of trouble. Everybody a lot of trouble because he wanted Behrens out of that box, and finally she comes out of there. She was not on the last play because of the penalty. And Sack, who doesn't keep time, actually coaching down there, he thought he was being treated real badly because he was waving and hollering and everything else. The officials, finally she got out of the pack.
Moving out of there on this jam, Jan Ballo, the Rookie of the Year for the Westerners. Annis Jensen out there blocking with Loretta Behrens. Look at this battle between these two great stars. Jensen had a little too much for Loretta Behrens on that play. She put her back in the box, so your lone jammer now is 35. Jan Ballo moving for the Bomber squad. 3.5 minutes to go in this period. There's plenty of time remaining on this jam. Loretta Behrens, 54, is now dropped to the rear of the pack, where she'll be the key blocker for the Westerner squad. Annis Jensen dropping back to try and help her teammate out as she closes on the pack. Watch Annis Jensen moving now on Loretta Behrens again. Jan Ballo behind her. She missed that block on Behrens. Joanne Coons, 52, a penalty, illegal blocking going to the penalty box. She was not passed for a point. She was being flagged off the track. Still there at the rear. There's a block that clears the way for a point. Now to the outside. Doss out there to cut her off. She has already scored 1 point. Jensen back in there trying to clear the way again. Watch Dolores Doss. Roberta Mitchell moving in there to block. 15 seconds remaining on this jam. 35 is your score. She's the jammer trying to get the point. She has already scored 1. 14,000 plus fans cheering things on. 2 big points chalked up by Jan Ballo, 35. Makes the score now 24-19 with 2 minutes to go in this period. Man, these fans are really up in arms. Ken?
Well, they certainly are, and let's give it, again, credit where credit is due. Russ Baker, the coach of the Bombers, doing a nice bit of strategy out there with his players because of the fact that the Westerners are getting a little penalty situation out here. One player after another throwing in the box. They've been short-handed most of this period, and Baker is not asleep. He's taking advantage of it. So it's a real contest out here of not only players in the track, but 2 great coaches against each other with 2 great clubs.
Talk about the spirit at sporting events. This is professional sport at its best. And yet, volunteer cheerleaders come out here and cheer the Bomber fans on, lead them in yells. Here we go again. Moving out, Dolores Doss 51 for the Westerners. Roberta Mitchell 33 for the Bombers. 1 minute to go in this period. There's Doss blocking out Mitchell and letting Loretta Behrens do the jamming. 55 seconds to go in this period as Behrens is pouring it on, trying to get around that track, trying to catch the pack and score some points. 48 seconds remaining as Loretta Behrens is still moving on the pack. When she gets to the pack, the number 1 blocker for the Bombers will be Big Red Jensen, Annis Jensen, with number 38. 38 seconds remaining now in this period. One more exciting period to go in this game. Behrens in scoring position now, 54. Keep your eye on this girl. There's Jensen with a block, 38. There's Jensen with another block. Seconds remaining. You saw it. A tremendous pull away by the Bomber squad. With Loretta Behrens in scoring position, the entire Bomber squad broke past the blockers on the Westerner team. Then it was a matter of trying to outskate Loretta Behrens. And they successfully outskated Loretta Behrens, the entire squad, for a full 20 seconds. Just as Loretta Behrens reached the rear of the squad, the jam ended, the period ended, and she was dumped for the block from Annis Jensen. A tremendous exhibition of skating by this Bomber team. Well, that was the end of the 3rd period of play with the score 24-19. The Westerners still with a 5-point bulge. Moving now into the last 12 minutes of action in another exciting roller derby game, America's fastest growing sport. And here we go.